Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us today. We have a great webinar in store. I have a few reminders while folks are still joining, and before we get started, we like to keep our webinars conversational, and we welcome your questions throughout. You can send the questions to the panel through the Q&A button located on your Zoom control panel. We will try to answer as many as we can live, but if we don't get to your question, we'll be sure to follow up with you afterwards. You can follow today's conversation on Twitter, and we'll be live tweeting throughout the webinar at Rio_SEO and using hashtag RioWebinar. Finally, we will send a link to the webinar recording out within the next 24 hours. So look out for a follow-up email from our marketing team. And we'll give it just a minute while people are rolling in. All right, and I think we can get started now. All right, the holiday season is quickly approaching, and for most of you, your holiday marketing strategy likely looks different than it did a few years ago. While the pandemic continues to affect business operations, early predictions for the holidays show it won't have as heavy an impact on sales this year. Sales are anticipated to rise compared to 2020, with e-commerce sales predicted to rise an impressive 11.3%. So some excitement for the holiday season. My name is Jason Stroyan. I'm an account director at Rio SEO, and I will be moderating today's discussion. I first started with Rio in 2014. I've been able to witness amazing growth, not only in local SEO, but in digital marketing in general. Today, I'm joined by a great panel who will provide expert recommendations for refining your local marketing strategy to accommodate new preferred methods of shopping, crafting an elevated e-commerce experience, ensuring safe in-store shopping for your customers. Joining me today are Richard Mastriani, Vice President of SEO at Performix, Joe Spurzl, Group Director of SEO at Horizon Media, and William Alvarez, Director of Organic Search at Catalyst Digital. Welcome, panel, and if you don't mind, I'll have you introduce yourselves, starting with Richard, then Joe, then William.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining the webinar. My name is Rich Mastriani. I'm the Vice President of Client Solutions SEO with Performix. We are a Publicis Group agency. I've been in the digital space now for well over 10 years, and I look forward to discussing SEO in the holiday season with you.
Hey everybody, Joe Spurzl. I'm the Group Director at Horizon Media. I lead the SEO practice from our New York office, situated here in my Long Island office permanently for right now. But looking forward to talking to you all. I've been in this space for a little over 12 years doing SEO, so looking forward to talking some holiday strategy.
Awesome. I'm William Alvarez. I'm a director of SEO with Catalyst, which is part of Group M. We are omnichannel performance marketing agency. I lead SEO strategy for a group of accounts in North America, and I also support the leading SEO team globally. I've been in the industry for around 15 or 18 years, so I have some areas of expertise where I gravitate more, including local, video, and mobile.
Great. Once again, thank you all for being with us today. Before we get started, we wanted to poll the audience to learn what channel you anticipate will drive the most sales this holiday season. There are 6 answers to choose from, so please choose the most applicable answer to your business. All right, we'll just give it a few seconds for the results. All right. Let's see. We're going to display those results. There you go. So website, interesting. Traditionally in-store has been a huge source of driving the revenue, but with things the way they have been over the last year and some of the changes we've seen, very interesting kind of results there. That website would be the most, with social media being the second. Excellent. All right, well, thanks for your participation, audience. We appreciate that. So to start off today's discussion, we're going to dive into omni-channel strategy. As you know, omni-channel marketing is a multi-channel approach to sales that seeks to provide customers with a seamless shopping experience, whether they're shopping online from a desktop or mobile device, by phone, or at a brick and mortar store. Joe, let's start off with you. How will adopting an omni-channel approach benefit marketers this holiday season, and what omni-channel tactics should brands be leveraging?
Well, last part of that, SEO, of course, that's what I work in. But honestly, I think the pandemic has taught all of us that there are so many different touch points for every single sale that we're going to have. And thinking about things as just one channel and putting all your ducks into one channel doesn't make any sense, right? So I mean, you really need to be in paid social, paid search, working in affiliate. I think CRM and email is something that's super necessary for all brands, just based upon the need to be able to be there for your customers in all of these different places where they're going to be. And I think, especially for me last year, email marketing was super effective on me for holiday shopping. It's something that I think everybody needs to kind of keep on their docket for this year.
Right. I think we've seen the silos, between the different channels coming down within brands, or at least they're striving to do that and making progress more and more every year. So thanks for that, Joe. William, what channels should brands consider when preparing their holiday marketing efforts this year? And given the changes we've observed in consumer shopping preferences, do you expect more brands to prioritize e-commerce channels this year? And is that the right strategy?
Yeah, I think the survey at the beginning was really telling about like what consumers and people in general terms and brands have as a perception without knowing what consumers actually responded to, like general industry or research. Surprisingly, there is a high number of or a high percentage of consumers that is willing to go back to in-store. So I saw that in the survey, the percentage of participation was low because our behavior of consumers has shift very quickly, trying to like indicate that really people don't want to walk into the stores, but that's not really true. So we have to have a balance of like be ready for what's going to happen in the in-store experiences and the people who will definitely prefer to buy online. So e-commerce is definitely a priority. The brands that were not ready for it had to a year plus to get ready for it because there are definitely more demands for this channel. And for the specific ones to tackle, I think all of them. If you find a way to cross-reference all those channels to like follow the consumer journey, to tie in your data, you're going to realize that they are like valuable information that you can use to leverage the channels that works best for you. I imagine that's going to change by industry, but if you can leverage your data from paid search and put it into organic search from learnings, if you can tie back your response from email and make it work for your programmatic buying, they're all going to work in conjunction and going to give you the results that you need. So I really think that you have to see what worked well for you in the past, what's working well now, and like leverage all the channels at the same time. That's what is omnichannel, right?
Right. Yeah, good feedback. And to your point about the e-commerce channel, last year, I think a lot of shoppers out there were kind of forced into using it, even though they hadn't previously been comfortable with it. But after trying it, they realized how convenient it is. So I do believe there'll be a residual effect there. By no means are stores going away or are people going to stop shopping in stores, but I think there are more people that will also utilize e-commerce. So, William, thanks for that feedback. Given early predictions for increased online shopping this holiday season, providing exceptional customer service is going to play a huge role in building brand loyalty. How can brands better prepare for increased volume of customer service requests coming this holiday season? And with the shift to digital, what channels do you anticipate customers will be turning to most often for support? Rich, would you share your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I think no question, social media is at the top of the list when it comes to customer engagement. People are reaching out whenever there's a customer complaint or an issue. I feel people probably go to Twitter or even Facebook first, especially in local retail type businesses where they know that there's going to be engagement on those channels. Then there's as much as social media is very, very important. Google and local search, especially if you have a shop in that local area, it's important to one, have a good accurate phone number within your local channel. Two, to make sure that one, the customer is going to get through to the right person and be able to speak to somebody. I think there's going to be a significant amount of transition or growth in terms of somebody going from a digital channel to in-store. Or even shop to pick up. I'm not sure the correct terminology there, where people are ordering in store, trying to find correct inventory at a particular store, and then are not even just arriving at the store, and then people are bringing products out as people shop online. I think that the experience, the customer experience, is rapidly increasing in speed in terms of the time somebody looks something up and then the time that they want it at their house. I feel like Amazon Prime's 2-day delivery is becoming too slow for everybody at this point. So I think having the correct amount of inventory available for your customers to see so that they can act on that inventory, and then being able to engage with that customer at the point of purchase through whichever channel that customer is comfortable with. And you should be able to find that within your data.
Yeah, that makes sense for sure. To your point about the social media, time for a fun fact. 82% of the population in the United States has a social networking profile, and that represents a 2% increase from the previous year. So many customers turn to social apps specifically for personalized inspiration or curated recommendations. Rich, let's have you answer this one also. What
Right.
social media platforms should brands focus on for the holidays, and what tips do you have for facilitating social commerce?
Yeah, I think I'd love to point a particular social channel out. I think Facebook is the top of mind for everybody. It's the largest social media marketplace out there, but TikTok is rapidly approaching in terms of, or I think has surpassed in terms of downloads as well as time spent online. I think how local or even retail businesses are engaging with customers through that channel is yet to be determined, or is going to evolve as time goes on. But I think sticking to the products that your customer wants, personalizing that experience to them within social media through specific advertising and creative to the product and the customer as well is going to be super important.
Excellent. Thanks, Rich. So our survey results indicate that most searchers are seeking name, address, phone number related information, as well as other high intent queries such as online ordering and promotions. William, how can brands optimize listings and pages to rank for these queries, especially in the case of branded queries where a searcher may have already made up their mind?
Yeah, I think what we discussed before is that we have to leverage all the data to model the content of the pages. So if we get information from any of the channels that we mentioned before, we have enough information also about the intent that they are behind all the queries that we are identifying. So if we see that there is like a lot of concerns about inventory of a product on a specific store, we should tailor the message on the local page to indicate that the inventory is available, that the branded product is available there or not. Recent research by Google and Ipsos determined that 56% of the consumers expressed that they would check stock inventory before they walk in a store. So that is really important. Focus on around like identifying what people want to know about your local stores and figure like what are the content tactics that you can define to express that on the pages to make their time more valuable. Instead of creating some kind of frustration where they're gonna like go bounce and find the information in some other stores.
Yeah, it makes sense. Make it a better customer experience and easier, for sure. So as a retailer, your metrics and KPIs may look different this holiday season compared to previous years. With that in mind, and considering shifts in consumer behavior this year, many brands are adjusting their measurement strategies. Joe, I'd love to get your take on this. What KPI should brands prioritize this holiday season to determine success?
Yeah, I think this goes hand in hand with what William was just saying. The metrics that show, how users are interacting or traveling through your site are the most important. If you're bringing organic traffic through content, it's necessary to understand, of course, what the time on site is, the pages per session, right? But we also want to know, where are those users exiting? Did we have missed opportunities, right? Did somebody come in and read that piece of content and then leave? Is there an opportunity to link to a product from that page instead of making their journey longer? Right. So, I mean, it makes sense to try to utilize all of the data that you have. If one of your channels is working really well, maybe you bring a lot of traffic through paid search, and they're landing on a page, but you're looking at the data and they consistently are arriving at that page and then navigating to another page. Maybe you're targeting incorrectly, right? So looking at the way that the customers are interacting with you is the most important. I think most of this comes down to making it easier for the user, right? We don't anytime that there's going to be any kind of a pain point in the process, you risk losing that person, right? And they're going to do another search and select the next person that's on the list and buy the product from them. So utilizing that data to understand that how your user is navigating is the most important.
Right, that makes sense. The shortest path to the shopping cart is good for everyone, for sure.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right, let's switch gears to another source of potential holiday marketing success, which is Google My Business and conversion opportunities. Google continues to far surpass its competition in the search landscape, maintaining a 92% market share as of June. William, what approach would you recommend brands take when it comes to Google My Business, keeping in mind new fields or functionality brands should pay attention to, and in order to drive that high intent in-store traffic and reassure customers of a safe shopping experience this holiday season?
Yeah, so I think Google Merchant Center on GMB were the products from Google that had the fastest development during the pandemic and during the peaks, because of like the information that consumers were searching that they would be able to broadcast through those channels. So they immediately enabled a lot of new fields. They immediately enabled propelled Google Post and all kind of like a structured data markup available on pages to be shown as attributes in the GMB attributes and characteristics of a business. So I would say leverage your profiles, adding as much information as you can, so it's always available and promptly updated. I think leverage resources like your product feed and make them cross-function. So what you upload to the Google Merchant Center is also available as an optimized feed to the Google Products feed on the GMB. Make sure that you use the right functionalities so your inventory information is always up to date. Now, Google has advanced the functionalities that are available for GMB from the Google Merchant Center and for the purpose of paid search and paid shopping ads, where you can indicate what inventory is available through all those channels in specific locations. So if you have your information updated completely, you're gonna provide best information to users as well. That is gonna ultimately drive to better conversions. So I would say having a properly optimized profile, leveraging all the data tools that Google offered today is gonna get you in a good spot. So be efficient with your Google posts because you're broadcasting what's happening with your businesses all the time. Announce your offers. There are higher expectations from consumers about promotions, offers, discounts. That information should be available there as much as you used to do it in other paid channels.
Right, and when you do that on Google Posts, those tend to show up in other places too, like in the actual listing sometimes. So that can be a great way to get the information out there.
Yeah, so the good thing about Google is that they are making visibility be more efficient across all their surfaces. So before you could optimize for one of their services, now they make your optimizations be seen across all other surfaces. So Google Search, Google Images, Google the free shopping tab, or for the purpose of paid campaigns, et cetera, et cetera.
Excellent, thank you. And to the audience, we appreciate your active listening. But again, if you have any questions, please feel free to hit that Q&A button on your Zoom control panel there and ask some questions. And moving right along, the holiday season typically causes many brands to shift operating hours in the physical locations, whether that means extra hours during Black Friday or closing early for certain holidays. Rich, when should brands leverage special hours versus secondary hours this holiday season?
I'm not even sure if I fully understand that question. When you say secondary hours, what are you referring to?
Like I guess in the GMB, you know, when you're able to put the secondary hours,
Right.
you know, load those in versus special hours.
Yeah, I think anything that's outside of your standing operating, you know, procedure, if you're going to have special services, or if the doors are going to be closed, but you'll have people who can run outside to pick up. I think it's important to have that updated, of course, you know, probably a few weeks in advance, right? I think the shopping season, in my perspective, has already started.
It seems like it.
We're seeing upticks for holiday shopping. Yeah, it's happening now. We're ramping up budgets in paid media channels, and we've already optimized and produced content for holiday shopping season, new products that are coming out, and new initiatives, and just optimizing for content across not only shopper and retail, but Google My Business, and paid search as well.
Yeah, I think we mentioned a little before the webinar today that when you walk into a store in September and they have holiday and Christmas items there, you know things are being a little bit, starting early.
A little bit, yeah.
All right.
Can I just jump in there? I think just as most retail stores expand their hours during the holiday season, I think a lot of them are going to probably utilize both special hours and secondary hours. Because you know the time frame in which they're open during that holiday time period is going to be different, so that would be more special hours. But then, like Rich pointed out, like if there's curbside pickup still available, but the store is closed, or if you're a restaurant and you're staying open later because you know there's shoppers around because you're near a mall or something like that, you know, you may want to specify that like the dining room's closed, but you know, curbside is still available, or that, you know, part of your establishment is still open. So I think that's another use case for those special hours and secondary hours.
Yeah, that's a great point, and thanks for differentiating the two, Joe. Cool. All right, with growth of e-commerce over the past few years, GMB has become kind of a one-stop shop for conversion opportunities. Consumers are expecting to find the most accurate information on Google, including possibly in-store inventory. Joe, what are your tips for product visibility on local listings? And do you have any tips for leveraging Google's product editor?
Yeah, I mean, I think William was kind of hinting at this before, but I think that the product editor is super helpful for funneling your product information into your GMB listing. I think you have to make sure that whatever you're updating within that product editor is something that you're going to maintain as far as prices go and availability, just because it would be super bad user experience for someone to see that type of information within your Google My Business and then either have the price change when they get to the store, or have it not be available. So you got to make sure that you're maintaining that information. I think the other piece of that is also just making sure that it's that your product images kind of follow the same criteria that you would for either Google Ads or for Amazon even. Just make sure that it's super clear what the product is. Even if Amazon requires that you have an image that has a white background and just the product, right? I think those things are super helpful to the users when they're looking through. If it's confusing, or if it doesn't make sense right away, they're just going to move on to the next retailer that might have the same product. So I think making it as clear as possible is also a really big thing that I would focus on.
So you will say that your GMB is your digital storefront, and that at the same time is your store window, and that digital storefront should mimic your brick and mortar. So one of the worst things that you as a brand could do is to offer incorrect information. You have to have all the information ready for users. So we have seen across all the questions that what is required, what are like the needs for a GMB to comply and be successful. And I think like having updated information correctly, promptly, is like a must in order to reduce any kind of frustration from users. So if you don't comply with that, you're gonna fail. So I'm seeing like the GMB like that your store window is the first thing you see, because it's a Google asset that is shown prominently above the fold and before anything else, the local pack on the maps.
Right. I think we're coming back to a couple of themes over and over, which is ease of use for the customer, help them, have an easier journey, and then correct information out there, making sure it's accurate so you're not surprising them. Unless the price is lower when they get there, no one's afraid of that. But yeah, I think we're coming back to those two themes quite a bit.
Yeah. The other thing, Joe, and Jason, is that there are many things that were done in the physical world that were disrupted at some point in the last months, in the last year, that were where there was a need to include them as part of GMB functionalities. For example, if you're a doctor, you don't have to go to the doctor's office anymore. Now you can do telemedicine through the GMB. If you need a quote, you can request a quote directly in the GMB. So there are specific actions that consumers expect to get, and while not being able to walk in a store, now that can replace them, but functions are available on the GMB. So that is really important too, like shortening like the path between like your house and going to a store, risking to like your health and not finding the information that you need. All those functionalities are available through the GMB right now too.
Yeah, you're right with those new functionalities, and as they're adopted more and more, they're there to help the shopper, but it also provides an opportunity to get the information to the consumer quicker.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. All right, well, your local pages are another opportunity to drive conversions and share pertinent information this holiday season. So, William, how can brands maximize their other digital storefront or their local pages to promote holiday specials or deals?
Yeah, I think the most basic or fundamental aspects in making sure that the foundation of your optimizations are there, like optimizing the elements that are more important for core organic Google, let's say. Use the data that you have collected through other channels to understand like what people want to know and communicate that in your local pages. So of course, there are specific actions, like you need to optimize for COVID announcements via structured data markup, stress and inform about like the safety precautions that you need to have before walking into a store, what are the requirements, the second hours, all that information is gonna help you optimize correctly for local organic, for core organic, sorry, and get you in a good place. So you have like the double punch. You have success on the GMB, but you're also optimizing your local pages to have prominent positions and visibility for relevant queries in the core organic results.
Yeah, and to be more specific, just on that topic, I think what we're going to run into this year is probably just a lack of inventory, specific to something like the PS5, which was probably last year's hottest product. If you're a large retailer, or if you have a product that you know is going to be a hot item, and it may not ever be available in store. Like, it may hit the store and just disappear immediately. I think it's important to probably let your customers know that it's going to be very hard to get that product in store. And if they want to find it, they should find it online, and give them direction as to when it might be available, et cetera. Also, if there's going to be a delay in shipping, or if you're foreseeing shipping issues at some point, at what point do customers need to have their products ordered so that they're on time for the specific holiday that they want the product delivered for? I think there's some flags going up already that items might need to be ordered by December 15th for ground shipping to arrive by Christmas, for example. I think that's important to communicate, both not only on your local page, your social media channels, but even if a customer is calling on your IVR, it's probably important to have that message or similar messages like that on your phone IVR as well.
Yeah, I think like a great grade of personalization should be added to it, right, Rich? I mean, when I mentioned before that you need to tailor your content based on the information that you get from your data, you should be using the information that you have about consumers to personalize that content, and that's when,
for sure,
that relationship comes.
Yeah, and I think you hit on a good point too, Rich, where surprises aren't good, especially if they're negative. So, if they find out that it's not going to be in stock too late, or if it's not going to get there by Christmas after the fact, that's not a good thing. So setting expectations, consumers appreciate that, and letting them know up front so it's not a surprise.
Yeah, and I think even as we talk through this, when, not to talk about the bad things that are going to happen, but good things can happen as well. And when something good does happen, I think it is super important to have customers write reviews. So whatever you can do to further the engagement and have them write reviews, whether that's in Google, which I believe impacts the algorithm, or within Amazon, which we were pretty sure that it impacts the algorithm there as well. Getting customer reviews is super important to driving conversion. So the more the merrier. No pun intended.
We know the reviews and not only the scores, but the content and the keywords within those can really drive ranking or traffic. We know, you look in the 3-pack, there's a justification in there many times for why that listing was included in the 3-pack, and a lot of times it's a Google review. So, good point. There's a lot of good content there, and making the most of those is important. Excellent. So, Joe, what recommendations do you have for on-page SEO to highlight holiday promotions or health and safety attributes that can help drive in-store or e-commerce traffic?
Well, I mean, it's just touching on similar to what William was saying earlier. I don't think there's a brand out there that doesn't have a COVID-19 announcement or information as a banner on their website right now. But really communicating that information to users is super important. Also making sure that offers and things like that are using structured data markup so that they can be picked up, so and your product feed is accurate. All of those things that we've talked about throughout the course of this whole webinar. But you only have one chance, right? So if you're not optimizing every product to its utmost, and making sure that your product will be available in all of those different areas in which it can be accessed from an SEO perspective, you're leaving money on the table. So just making sure that you're highlighting those things. I think offers are something that is super important for especially a smaller retailer, right? If you if you have a local business that's an electronics store or something like that, and people within that area will search to see if they have that product, right? Having that type of offer, having an incentive for somebody to not go to Amazon and to come to you, or highlight the fact that there are shipping delays, but hey, we have this in stock. Unlike all of these other larger entities, right? There are things that content on your site that you can kind of mark up and show the value proposition for someone shopping with you instead of shopping with someone else.
Yeah, for sure. Excellent. Okay, I appreciate that. So kind of shifting gears again, we talked about this a little bit before, but experts predict mobile app usage will be at an all-time high this holiday season. Rich, what can businesses do to provide a seamless experience between GMB listings, desktop and mobile sites, and applications?
I think there's a lot of different places to drop all of this information, and if you're managing this yourself, it's pretty challenging, especially if you have multiple locations, right, with multiple changes taking place during the holiday season. But I think using a vendor and or an agency to make sure that all of your especially your name, address, phone number, right, the key points that you want to deliver there for customer engagement, but make sure that all your offers, all your products, all your inventory is updated, and your content being updated across all these channels, and having a very, very similar experience across all these channels. And I think it's also important to make sure that the messaging is consistent. So to make sure that you're not confusing customers, making sure that if Google My Business, if you're open till 10 o'clock that night, that on another app or your Facebook profile, it doesn't say that you're only open till 6 o'clock that night, because then the customer is going to go somewhere else, because it's confusing as well. So making sure that all that information is accurate, and making sure that your phone numbers are working and everything's succinct. So
yeah, I think you hit on the key point: consistency across all of these different channels. I mean, if it's basically one experience, you've done your job. Where if they're on the website and then they go to the app, they're getting the same messaging, the same information. It's important to be able to update that as quickly as possible. So great point. I think I see a question coming in. This is an interesting one. How can we leverage YouTube this holiday season as an additional channel or touch point? And what challenges or opportunities does YouTube present? Have you guys had much experience with the marketing on YouTube, and what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I would say the first thing you have to do is optimize your channel based on like the guidelines that they have for the channel, for the playlist, for the videos, for the content of the videos, everything. That's one step. But you can also understand what's happening with your paid search campaigns, and you can deliver content on YouTube based on actions that are happening all across Google network. So that is like a key element to keep in mind, so you can target your campaigns correctly on YouTube and be more effective. And as for formats, YouTube offers a lot of new functionalities that can help you understand, like by the second, where users are very engaged with your consumers. So understand what's happening on the content on your channels, so you can tailor better messages, like change the format, etc., etc. That's for my perspective.
Yeah, I would just layer on there. It's part of your content strategy, right? So don't just think about it as a sales engine. Think about it as a lifetime value engine, right? Once someone is a purchaser of your product, right? You should have information out there about functionality, things that they're going to search for after they have it in their hand, right? Or something that someone who is giving that thing as a gift might want to do some research and understand, if it's a piece of electronics or something like that, like understand the functionality of it, understand all of the different facets of it so that when they do give it to their child or to their loved one, that they can be like, oh, you got to see you got to see this content. They have this video about how to use it, and it's really cool, right? Like that not only build your brand, but it also makes that person, the next time that they're gonna make a purchase like that or buy something similar, they're gonna look and see like, hey, do they have this type of information? It's a content engine. It's a way to keep somebody in the cycle.
Yeah, that's such a great point. I mean, just enhancing the user experience and thinking of it as the lifetime value piece of it, not just the sale. Because yeah, a lot of things happen after the fact, and if they're happy with their purchase and you continue to make them happy, not only will they be repeat, shoppers and have brand loyalty, but they'll tell everyone they know about it and how great it is. And we know word of mouth is powerful too.
Yeah, so Google is advancing a lot in terms of like how they present video to consumers. And you can see that in their pipeline, there's a new feature where you will be able to click on elements on the videos so you can go and shop immediately. So that's going to happen real soon, and it's almost around the corner.
Yeah, very good feedback. And thanks for the question. Appreciate it. It's about time to wrap up today's panel discussion. I'll open up this last question to everyone on the panel. What closing thoughts or pieces of advice would you leave with brands for preparing for a successful 2021 holiday season? Rich, why don't we start off with you for your final thoughts?
Yeah, I would say get your media and your advertising and your content started now if you haven't already, and get that in place as quickly as possible. People are shopping earlier this year. I know I've already started my Christmas shopping because I've done Christmas shopping on Christmas Eve sometimes, but now I've learned my lesson. So I'm getting my Christmas shopping done very, very early this year. I know a lot of other people are. So I think getting started early would be the key this year, as well as making sure that you have everything that's going to make the customer experience that much easier for your customer, having that type of content within your funnel.
Cool, Rich, thanks. Great feedback. Joe, how about you?
Yeah, I think the buying season is rather elongated, as we've all been talking about. And I know that I was a victim of this last year, having two young kids. We looked at it as being an elongated season last year as well. And I think that repeat messaging and getting to your consumers more often, like through email, through app push notifications, things like that, is super effective. At least it was on me, because honestly, with the elongated shopping season, I found myself, we bought a bunch of stuff early for the kids, and then I found myself like closer to Christmas, like, oh, I get this offer, like, oh, we can get one more thing, right? Like, so the shopping season is elongated, and if people are buying early and they've already got those things, and then there's an additional thing that if it shows up a couple of days after the holiday, it's not a big deal. People will purchase more, or at least that's my thought. So I think just continuing to have that messaging and continue to hit your customers in all of the different channels that you can will help you in an elongated season.
Excellent. Thanks, Joe. I appreciate that. William, any final thoughts for our retailers out there?
Yeah, I would say that while it's true that the growth of your sales are going to come from Cyber Monday, Thanksgiving, Black Friday, your holiday doesn't end in January. You have to understand what's happening in your industry. It may be too late to tweak your holiday campaign, but it's never too late to learn about what's happening and get ready for the next year. We have seen clients and industries where what we consider a holiday ends is the start of the preparation for next year. So don't wait too long, because your holiday or your sales might happen in different ways throughout the year. So keep that in mind. Like, let's say another example that I always use is Super Bowl. the day that Super Bowl happens, the next day we have a meeting to prepare for the next Super Bowl. It happens throughout the year. So you have to keep that in mind. It's always that you always have to be planning.
Yep, William, that's a good point. Never not planning, right?
So
Right.
Always thinking about that. Well, great. I appreciate that, guys. That wraps it up for today. We've covered a lot of ground, and we hope our panelists have helped you better prepare for your holiday marketing efforts. If there are any questions we didn't get to, we'll make sure to follow up afterwards. Also, we'd be happy to answer any questions you didn't get a chance to ask. If you'd like to shoot us a note at marketing@rioseo.com. I'd like to thank everyone for joining today's discussion. And a special thank you to our awesome panelists, Joe, Rich, and William, for taking the time to be with us. Thank you very much. We will be sending out this recording as well as a copy of our 2021 local holiday marketing ebook with more applicable tips to prepare for the holiday season. Thank you. It was my pleasure to moderate today's discussion. We host these type of local search discussions every month, and we hope to see you again soon. Thanks again.